Revealed. Incredible Undercover so mistaken for Janitor 15 minutes after, she transforms it all. Lisa stood in the dimly lit break room wearing an oversized janitor's uniform that swallowed her petite frame. She looked into the mirror and barely recognized herself. The fierce CEO of a thriving tech startup was gone, replaced by a stranger. An unshakable pang of anxiety gripped her. But this was the leap she had to take if she wanted to understand the heartbeat of her company, the people she built it on. As she stepped onto the floor, the sterile scent of industrial cleaners filled her nostrils, mingling with the muted conversations of employees, deep in their own world. She introduced herself simply as Lisa, and after a few awkward smiles, the chatter resumed. What she heard sent jolts through her: whispers of financial worries, missed family dinners, and lives spent waiting for the next paycheck. Each story echoed her own childhood nightmares of not having enough. When laughter erupted from the coffee machine, it showcased the camaraderie that seemed real and yet so fragile. Lisa's heart ached as she watched her colleagues share inside jokes, oblivious of the fierce struggle etched in their weary smiles. In that moment, she felt their loneliness like a thick fog. They were not just janitors but dreamers caught in a relentless grind. One afternoon while cleaning the break room, she overheard a hushed conversation that struck her like a lightning bolt. Fears of eviction and medical bills. Anguish about being undervalued. Tears pricked at Lisa's eyes. She was about to reveal herself but held back, heart pounding against her chest, aching to connect. What if I shared my story? She thought, the weight of her silence heavy with purpose. Taking a deep breath, she opened up. I've been there. I built this company from nothing, she confessed, her voice trembling like a tremulous chord. The room fell silent. Everyone's eyes locked onto her, disbelief mixed with curiosity. As she shared her journey, long hours, questioning her worth, chasing dreams, they began nudging their stories forward too. Pain and hope collided in that cramped space, and in sharing they felt seen. The awakening truly blossomed during a community meeting called by her coworkers. Their frustrations poured out, raw and unfiltered. They were tired of being invisible. Lisa listened, guilt intertwining with resolve as she absorbed their words. This was the very essence of her company, yet she had been detached, floating above the fray instead of immersing herself in the realities of her team. As the discussions intensified, an older gentleman named Joe stood up. The moment he spoke, Lisa felt a bold wave wash over her. He reflected on his own sacrifices, dreams deferred, and the desire for respect. His words stirred a familiar fire within her. His tale mirrored her own struggles so closely that for a fleeting second, all titles faded into insignificance. Lisa's spirit ignited with determination. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In that moment, Lisa was no longer a CEO cloaked in power. She was part of a tribe yearning for dignity and change. The room buzzed with a newfound energy, memories of their struggles binding them, heartbeats quickening with a glimmer of hope. Would she dare to shatter the walls of hierarchy and elevate those who had been overlooked? The voices of her co-workers echoed in her mind. Their cries for justice ignited an unquenchable fire within her. Standing at the precipice of possibility, the question loomed large: could real transformation be born from the courage to listen? And together could they redefine their worth? Lisa felt the weight of the moment hang in the air like a thick fog. The hushed room pulsed with energy, a swirling mix of anticipation and trepidation. It was as if they all held their breath, waiting for her next move. A collective heart ready to leap into the unknown. Maybe it's time to change, she said softly, her voice steadying with each word. I want us to be more than just employees. I want us to be a team, of family. The words hung between them, shimmering with possibility. Joe nodded, his expression one of cautious hope. You really mean that? You know how hard it is for us out there? His words flowed out, raw and unfiltered, reflecting the pain they all felt. It struck her, the depth of their struggles balanced against the aspiration each of them clung to, however faint. She saw it in their eyes, the desire for direction, for recognition, for a voice. "I do," she replied, meeting his gaze. "I've spent too long behind my desk. I'm here to change that starting today. Our priorities won't just come from the top anymore." A soft murmur swept through the group. Lisa could feel the cautious optimism building like steam in a pressure cooker. If she dared to break the mold, she could ignite real change. But how? She paused, scanning the room. There were hopeful faces muddled with disbelief. "Tell me what you want to see happen. What can we do together?" A young woman named Mia, her expression marked by a mix of bravery and fear, spoke up. "We need better hours. We're exhausted, and there's not enough time for families." Another voice chimed in, "Consider safety training. We work with hazardous materials, but we don't have the resources to keep everyone safe." Each request opened a floodgate of frayed emotions, each solution tinged with a glimpse of possibility. The burden of silence, of feeling unheard, was lifting. As they continued to share, ideas blossomed and burst into the air. Lisa realized that they were forging a connection, a movement fueled by shared pain and hope. It was beautiful. That moment felt electric. They were not just employees anymore, they were problem solvers, innovators. They made promises to hold each other up, to find solutions together. Lisa's heart raced. Could she truly lead a transformation like this? Her adrenaline surged. She felt alive amidst the fervor of new ideas and energy. More than anything, she realized how vital it was for her to embody this transformation. She couldn't simply sit back and watch. They needed to see her commit. "I'll be with you every step of the way," she said fervently, looking around the room. "Together, we can build a company that cares about its people first. I promise to put your needs at the forefront of our decisions." A collective cheer erupted, eyes wide in wonder. The tension shattered. What had once been hidden in shadows now gleamed with potential. Lisa stood a little taller, feeling the boundaries of her role dissolve. No more judgment, no more distance. But beneath that exhilarating surface, a nagging worry wormed its way into her thoughts. Would the corporate board support this shift? What if they pushed back against the change she was determined to usher in? As the meeting wrapped up, Lisa felt a glimmer of doubt creep in. The room had filled with hope, but outside of this sanctuary, could she maintain this momentum? Could she convince the board to embrace this radical shift? The question loomed large in her mind as she prepped for the battles ahead. Standing at the edge of this newfound unity, she found herself wondering not what they could do together, but if she could truly lead them into uncharted territory. With that thought, a fierce determination struck her. Would her bravery be enough to overcome the hurdles ahead? The next day felt like stepping into a whirlwind. Lisa woke up early, a nervous energy coursing through her veins. Each passing minute amplified her anxiety about the meeting with the board. This wasn't just another presentation. It was her chance to bring her team's dreams to life. As she dressed, she couldn't shake the sense of impending gravity. The crisp button-up felt a bit tighter than usual, reminding her of the expectations she had placed on herself. She caught her reflection and took a deep breath. "You've got this," she whispered, willing herself to believe it. Arriving at the office, the stark contrast between the buzzing atmosphere of the previous day and the cold sterility of the corporate world sent shivers down her spine. The sterile white walls felt suffocating as she made her way toward the conference room. The board was already gathered around the long dark table, faces serious and skeptical, an intimidating lineup of sharp suits. As she took her seat, anticipation saturated the air. Glares from the board members weighed heavily on her, but she reminded herself of the hope she had seen in her team's eyes. "Let us get started." The head of the board, Mr. Harris, spoke first, adjusting his glasses as if preparing for a long meeting. His voice dripped with a practiced authority. "We've heard some interesting feedback recently about employee engagement and morale. I trust you have something to share regarding this?" Lisa nodded, feeling the warmth rise in her cheeks. "Yes, thank you, Mr. Harris. We need to address our company culture. I believe we can shift our focus towards employees, ultimately leading to improved productivity and retention." She glanced around the table, trying to gauge their reactions. "Culture?" Mrs. Wagner said, a brow arched. "You mean to tell us that running a few team-building events can solve our productivity issues? This feels like wishful thinking." Lisa inhaled sharply, her heart racing. She hadn't expected immediate support, But this was different. No, it's more than just events. It's about listening to our employees, understanding their needs. I held a meeting yesterday, and they shared their deepest concerns. Safety, work hours, a real chance to connect. They want to be part of this company not just for a paycheck but to make a difference. A ripple of murmurs swept around the table, some skeptical, some intrigued. Mr. Harris leaned forward, fingers steepled. And you think you can lead this initiative? You're rather new to management, Lisa. Her stomach tightened. I am new, yes. But I'm also deeply committed. I've seen what we're capable of when we work together. I believe a happy team produces better results. Mrs. Wagner chuckled sardonically, shaking her head. Let us be real, Lisa. Employee satisfaction doesn't pay the bills. Something inside her snapped. But it does drive profits. Look at the companies thriving today. They prioritize people. If we don't adapt, what happens when our employees leave for better opportunities? We'll be left with a fragmented workforce. The atmosphere had shifted. Lisa could feel it. The board members exchanged glances, uncertainty breaking through their stern facades. After a moment of charged silence, Mr. Harris finally spoke. You're passionate, Lisa. I'll give you that. But passion alone won't cut it. She took a deep breath, her voice softer but unwavering. What if I could present a detailed plan by the end of the week? A framework that lays out how we can implement these ideas effectively. I believe it can transform our approach and improve our culture while appealing to our bottom line. Some members shifted in their chairs, suggestive of their shifting perspectives. Very well, Mr. Harris replied slowly. You have a week. Let us see what you can do. As Lisa walked out of the boardroom, her heart raced. Was she really given a chance? But doubts whispered cruelly. How could she actually turn her vision into a reality in just a week? With the pressure mounting, she couldn't help but think. If she failed, would her team still believe in her? Just as she passed her office, Mia popped her head inside. Hey, you good? You look like you've seen a ghost. With a nervous laugh, Lisa replied, just ready for the next steps, but deep down, she wondered if she could truly lead them, or if she'd be walking a tightrope without a safety net. Was she really ready to fight for their dreams? The next morning, Lisa awoke with a jolt as sunlight lanced through her window. She was feeling the weight of the world bearing down on her. The board had given her a chance, but now that opportunity felt more like a ticking clock, counting down to disaster. She swung her legs out of bed and rubbed her temples, trying to shake off the remnants of unease. Today is critical, she told herself as she brewed a cup of coffee, inhaling the rich, earthy aroma. With every sip, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the fuel she needed. As she walked into the office, she felt a palpable energy, a sense of urgency among her team. There was chatter and laughter floating in the air, and for a moment she forgot about the looming deadline. Mia was already at her desk, and when she saw Lisa, she gave her a thumbs up with a wide grin. Ready to get to work? Mia asked, her enthusiasm contagious. Lisa grasped onto that energy as they gathered the team. All right, everyone. I want to brainstorm ideas for the framework that I'll present to the board. This is our moment to shape our future together, she declared, her voice steady. The room hummed with discussion, voices overlapping as people pitched in their thoughts. They talked about engagement strategies, new training sessions, flexible hours, and a mentorship program that could foster connections. Lisa wrote furiously, the pages filling with ideas. The excitement was infectious, and she felt her fears recede, if only for a moment. Yet, as the meeting wrapped up, Lisa caught sight of Helen, the quiet intern who often kept to herself. Lisa approached her, sensing unease. What do you think, Helen? You've been taking great notes during the meetings. Helen hesitated, biting her lip. I'm not sure if it matters what I think, she replied quietly, her eyes glued to the floor. Of course it matters. Lisa knew every voice counted. Your perspective is crucial. You're out there in the trenches with the rest of them. Please share your thoughts. After a beat of silence, Helen finally spoke up. I think the team-building stuff is great. But we also need a way to address real issues, you know? Like the workload, sometimes it feels overwhelming, and I worry I'll drop the ball on projects. Lisa's heart ached. I hear you, Helen. That's precisely why we're doing this. We want to make sure everyone feels supported and valued. How about we work on finding ways to reduce stress and improve workloads as part of our proposal? As the day progressed, Lisa's resolve solidified. Encouraged by her team's feedback, she spent the afternoon drafting a detailed outline for her presentation. It was more than just buzzwords. It was a roadmap focused on their shared experiences, their hopes, their struggles. But just as she was about to breathe a sigh of relief, she heard a commotion outside her office. Standing there was Mr. Harris, flanked by Mrs. Wagner and others, their expressions unreadable. "What's going on, Lisa?" he asked, his voice sharp. "We've been getting reports about the meeting. Seems your team-building agenda is being viewed quite differently by others in the company. You might want to prepare for pushback." The tension surged around her. Every critical I felt like a weight on her chest. "I am just trying to lead us toward a healthier work culture," she stammered, the walls suddenly closing in. Mr. Harris crossed his arms, a slight frown forming. "Just make sure you're prepared for people who don't see it that way," he warned before stepping away, leaving Lisa frozen in place. Her heart sank. Was she walking into a storm? She glanced back at her team, who were now watching her closely, uncertainty masked on their faces. Could this actually work? As doubt creeped in, Lisa knew she had to push through. She had a vision and they deserved a chance to see it realized. But with whispers of dissent lingering and the board's expectations looming, she knew the real battle was just beginning. What might happen if they lost faith in her? Would their dreams slip away? Determined, she turned back to the whiteboard. Filled with ideas, she had to inject hope into her plan. But would it be enough to rally the team when the board pushed back? The stakes were higher than ever. Lisa stood at the whiteboard, her heart racing. Every word she had scribbled became a reminder of the responsibility resting on her shoulders. She could see the weight in her team's eyes, that flicker of doubt. She took a deep breath, inhaling the determination she needed to unfold her vision, battling the anxious knot in her stomach. "Okay, team," she began, casting her gaze over the room swelling with collective anticipation. "We're going to face challenges, but every storm brings growth. Today, let's solidify our proposal and reinforce our positions. We can turn skepticism into support." She hoped her voice sounded steadier than her mind felt, her stomach churning slightly with unease. As they broke into smaller groups to fine-tune their ideas, Lisa caught Mia's eye. Her friend offered an encouraging smile, but Lisa noticed the underlying worry. Stung. Mia was one of the strongest voices in the team. If she doubted their approach, what would that mean for the others? They worked tirelessly, swapping out phrases, critiquing one another's drafts. Lisa felt the tension gradually morph into something more constructive. With every suggestion and every point supported, she could almost feel the resolve in the air, transforming into a tangible force. They were building something beautiful, an idea meant to flourish, to create a safer workspace for everyone. Yet as they reconvened, Lisa's phone vibrated on her desk, its screen lighting up with a message from Helen. "Can we talk?" The simple query sent prickles of worry racing through her. She wasn't sure if it was good news or yet another reason to spiral into doubt. "Sure, let me finish up here," Lisa replied, trying to sound casual but feeling a lump in her throat. Once the group dissolved, Lisa walked over to the corner where Helen stood, nervously fiddling with her pen. "What's up?" Lisa asked softly. "I've been thinking," Helen began, her voice barely above a whisper. "About the proposal. What if we added a section on mental health support? Like resources for those who feel overwhelmed?" The suggestion struck like lightning, igniting something deep within Lisa. "That's brilliant, Helen. Thank you for sharing. That could be the cornerstone we need to address the team's workload concerns." Joy fluttered in her chest as she scribbled it down. But even as they refined the proposal together, anxiety gnawed at the back of her mind. Would the board truly embrace these ideas? Would they view this initiative as a solution or an unnecessary expense? She wanted to believe in their words, but doubt crept back in. Later that night, Lisa headed home, still processing the whirlwind of thoughts. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Mr. Harris requesting a last-minute meeting. "Urgent matter regarding your presentation." Her pulse quickened. What could be so urgent? Was it the pushback he had mentioned earlier? Did things really go that bad? She sank onto her couch, emotions raging. Was she truly going to let herself be swept into the tide of skepticism? After a long moment of quiet, she stood up, resolved. She wasn't just a leader waiting for approval. She was the architect of a newfound foundation for her team. If they were willing to believe in her, she would fight for every one of them. The next morning arrived too quickly. The office buzzed, the tension unmistakable as everyone filed into the conference room. Lisa stood before them, reminding herself of the collective hope riding on her shoulders. As she opened her mouth to speak, she felt her heart slam against her ribs. What if this was the moment they turned away from her vision entirely? The room was thick with anticipation. Today is not just about business. It's about us, she began, noticing the tentative nods from her teammates. We want to create a culture where every voice matters. That was the moment she saw it, a flicker of faith reflected in their eyes. But as Lisa continued, the door swung open and in walked Mr. Harris with an expression that made her stomach drop. "What's going on here?" he interjected, his tone sharpening the air. "Are we ready to find out if this proposal will fly or crash?" A chill slithered down Lisa's spine. Did he doubt her too? Was this the storm she feared? Or the moment of truth she desperately sought? Lisa's breath caught in her throat as Mr. Harris's eyes scanned the room. The tension crept higher, an invisible weight settling on her shoulders. She could sense her team's anxiety wrap around them like a shroud. Did Mr. Harris really believe in them, or was he here to shoot them down? "Mr. Harris," Lisa started, trying to regain control. "We're working on adapting the proposal for better support across the board, including—" "Let me stop you there," he interrupted, crossing his arms. "We can't afford to waste time on niceties. Show me what you've got." Now, the words stung, but there wasn't time to dwell on them. Lisa could feel Mia's encouraging presence behind her, grounding her. "Okay," she exhaled, bracing herself as she pulled the presentation up on the screen. "This initiative is designed to address both productivity and the well-being of our teams." As she clicked through the slides, outlining the proposal carefully, she could see some heads nodding. Still, that didn't drown out the nagging whisper of doubt unraveling in her mind. Each statistic about mental health and its impact on the workplace seemed to hang in the air, waiting for Mr. Harris's verdict. When she reached the section on mental health resources, she glanced at Helen, whose fingers were crossed tightly. This can create a culture of support where people feel empowered to voice their struggles, rather than hiding behind a mask, Lisa continued, her voice gaining strength. "Investing in our people should be our top priority because they drive our success." Mr. Harris leaned back, eyes narrowed. "People want results. How can you ensure this isn't just another expense that turns into an empty promise?" Lisa hurried to respond, determination flooding her voice. "We'll measure outcomes, gather feedback, and adjust. This isn't just about throwing a few workshops together. It's about building a sustainable environment where everyone thrives." However, as she spoke, she noticed Mr. Harris's expression harden. She felt like she was battling a tide that wouldn't relent, and the thought of failing her team twisted her insides. The unyielding silence in the room seemed to stretch out interminably, magnifying the uncertainty around her. Finally, Mr. Harris straightened. "Well, I hope your sustainable environment actually produces something tangible, or I'm not signing off on this." Lisa's heart sank, but she didn't let despair take root. "We understand this is a risk, and we would gladly accept accountability to prove it's worth it," she shot back. A wave of support washed over her, igniting a fierce hope within. Just as Mr. Harris opened his mouth to push back further, Mia stepped up to the front, drawing everyone's attention, including Lisa's. "I believe in this proposal. I've seen colleagues struggle under the pressures we impose ourselves, and we need to change this narrative. We owe it to them." Her voice rang clear, filled with sincerity. Lisa felt a warmth in her chest. Mia's bravery was infectious, sparking confidence throughout the room. It was more than just Lisa's fight now. Their collective belief was blooming, battling back the shadows of doubt. Yet before she could fully register this shift, Mr. Harris raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "And how do you envision implementing these strategies without disrupting productivity?" Lisa wasn't ready to roll over. "We start small. We implement focus groups to gauge the most pressing needs, and use that data to determine effective strategies. It has to stem from understanding what our team really wants." With each word, She felt the team rallying behind her. But just as they began to gain momentum, Mr. Harris shook his head. You have until the end of the month to convince me why this isn't all fluff. I expect results. Don't make me regret giving you this chance. The weight of his ultimatum settled in the room like a storm cloud. Could they really make something powerful happen in just a few weeks? As the meeting concluded and the team shuffled out, a newfound urgency filled the air. Lisa turned to Mia, who nodded with a fire in her eyes. We can't let this chance slip. We need a plan fast. But just when Lisa thought they might gain some clarity, an unexpected figure appeared in the doorway. Lisa's heart dropped again as she caught sight of the last person she wanted to see. Her former mentor Jenna, who had been outspokenly skeptical of her climb. Am I interrupting? Jenna asked, a smirk curling at the edge of her lips, the glimmer of confrontation in her eyes. Lisa felt her stomach twist as a myriad of questions flooded her mind. What did Jenna want? Was this the moment her resolve would be tested even further? Jenna stepped fully into the room, her presence commanding immediate attention. The usual hum of post-meeting chatter fell silent, all eyes darting between Jenna and Lisa. Lisa could feel the heat rising to her cheeks. She had long prepared for this moment in her mind, almost expecting it. But now that it was real, she felt vulnerable and exposed. Nice to see you, Lisa, Jenna said with a tone that dripped with condescension. Still floundering, I see. Jenna. Lisa managed the name like a clenched fist. What brings you here? Jenna's gaze flickered to Mr. Harris, who walked off with an air of indifference, leaving Lisa completely alone in the ring. Just stopping by to see if you still needed a lifeline, she retorted, putting her hands on her hips, confidence radiating from her posture. I figured you'd be looking for one after that performance. Lisa's heart raced, a mix of anger and hurt bubbling inside her. I don't need a lifeline. Not from you. Oh, is that so? Jenna smirked, almost daring Lisa to challenge her further. Because from my perspective it looks like you're grasping at straws. Do you actually think Mr. Harris will believe all this feel-good nonsense without a solid plan? But Lisa could feel her team's eyes on her, their hope resting on her shoulders. She remembered their words, their sincerity. They weren't here because they wanted patted on the back, they wanted change. We're working hard and we believe in what we're doing, she said, finding her voice even as Jenna's scrutiny bore down on her. Belief is great and all, but do you have results? Jenna replied sharply, her smile widening. You should know by now that it's not about intention. It's about outcomes. How are you planning to get there? Taking a deep breath, Lisa stepped closer to Jenna, the distance between them shrinking. We're starting focus groups, she said with conviction. We'll be gathering real data from our teams about what they need. It's not just another workshop. It's the start of a new approach, one grounded in real experiences. Jenna's expression flickered. Was that a hint of surprise? You think talking to a few people will solve your problems? This isn't a group therapy session. It's a business. The tension in the air thickened. Lisa could hear a faint beat of her own heart echoing in her ears. Maybe that's exactly what S needed. She challenged with newfound resolve. Bringing our teams together to voice their concerns can create a more productive environment. You wouldn't understand. At that moment, an unexpected ally stepped between them. Mia squeezed Lisa's shoulder gently. Jenna, maybe you should listen. This isn't just about the numbers. It's about the people behind them. They deserve to be heard and valued. Lisa felt an infusion of strength, knowing Mia had her back. There was a moment of silence, like the world pressing pause on their exchange, and Jenna's expression contorted ever so slightly. People are great, but you can't ignore the bottom line. This could all blow up in your face. Or it could be the best thing that ever happened to our team, Lisa said, her voice steady. We're willing to do the work to prove it. As Jenna glared at Lisa, the tension between them was electric, sparks flying off their standoff. Lisa's heart raced, the fear of failure clawing at her throat, but beneath it thrummed a fierce conviction. She couldn't turn back now. But what wasn't said hung in the air like a shadow. Jenna's eyes glimmered with something unreadable before she turned to leave, but not before throwing over her shoulder, remember, Lisa. You've got until the end of the month to prove this isn't a waste of everyone's time. Once Jenna was gone, Mia turned to Lisa, her eyes pleading for encouragement. Do you think we can do it? In that time? Prove her wrong. Lisa mustered a smile, the warmth spreading in her chest. We have to. But we need to move fast. Let us brainstorm tonight. We have a mountain to climb and I can feel it. We need to start right away. As they gathered the rest of their team, excitement pulsing through the air, a new wave of determination surged within Lisa. Then her phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. It was Mr. Harris wanting a follow-up meeting. The urgency flared again in her chest. What did he want now? Was it another challenge? Or did he hold a surprise that could change everything? Lisa sat at her desk, the weight of Jenna's words still heavy on her shoulders. She tapped her fingers nervously on the smooth surface while her thoughts raced. A meeting with Mr. Harris was one thing, proving herself was another entirely. As her mind swirled, she glanced at Mia, who busily rearranged the whiteboard for their brainstorming session. The team had their eyes on her, their belief in her stronger than ever. It was a precarious feeling, like standing on the edge of a cliff, but Lisa knew she had to jump. She couldn't let Jenna's derision fester in her mind. Okay, everyone gather around. Lisa called out, her voice ringing with urgency despite the unease nudging at her. The team, Mia, Ray and Jody, closed the small gap between them, their expressions a mix of hope and anxiety. First things first, Lisa said, taking a deep breath. We'll focus on understanding what our teams need. Real input from real people. But how do we get them to open up? Jody asked, her brow furrowing. I think we approach it as a conversation, Mia suggested. Something informal to make them comfortable. Maybe even treat it like a lunch and learn? Ray perked up. Yeah. Like inviting people to share their thoughts over pizza. Everyone loves pizza. Lisa smiled at the enthusiasm brewing within her team. Pizza it is. We can spread the word that we want to hear from everyone. Not just the loudest voices. The discussion flowed easily after that, with ideas bouncing around the room like a lively game of catch. Lisa felt the thrill of unity igniting among them. This was their chance to prove that change was possible, a chance to ensure that every voice mattered. Minutes transformed into hours as they crafted their plan. By the time they wrapped up, they had laid out a roadmap. The next day would be filled with focus groups, allowing every team member to share their thoughts and aspirations. Lisa could feel the excitement building in her chest. Even the fear of failure was eclipsed by hope. But as she prepared to leave the office, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a calendar invite from Mr. Harris, a time for the meeting he requested earlier. Anxiety washed over her as she read the subject line. Follow-up discussion. Company strategy. Ugh, why tonight? Lisa muttered, frustration creeping in. What's wrong? Mia asked, catching the shift in Lisa's demeanor. It's Mr. Harris. He wants to meet tonight. I can't afford to face him unprepared. Mia rested her hand on Lisa's shoulder. You'll nail it. Just remember everything you've been working on. You've got this. That small gesture ignited something in Lisa, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this. With a deep breath, she nodded, trying to suppress the flutter of doubt. You're right. I have my team behind me, and I'm not going to let that go to waste. As the evening wore on and they gathered their ideas, Lisa felt a warm surge of determination fill her veins. She was ready to hold her own against Mr. Harris. She believed in their proposal, in the voice of their teams, and in the change they were capable of making. Stepping into the meeting room later that night, Lisa's heart raced as the door closed behind her. Mr. Harris leaned back in his chair, surveying her with his unyielding gaze. Glad you could make it, he said, his voice steady and calm, yet lined with expectation. I've been hearing some interesting things. Lisa squared her shoulders, holding his gaze firmly. I hope they're the right things. The air was electric as their eyes locked, like two opponents sizing each other up. In that moment, Lisa realized this meeting was not just an obstacle. It was a pivotal moment that could change the course of her plans. But what was the true nature of the interesting things Mr. Harris had heard? Would they empower her or threaten everything she had just worked to build? Mr. Harris smiled slightly, but there was a sharpness behind it that made Lisa's pulse quicken. Some say you've been stirring the pot, Lisa. They like what they're seeing. But let us talk specifics. The words hung between them like a tightrope. Lisa felt as though she were teetering, balancing her ambitions against the potential backlash that could come from stepping out of line. She opened her notebook, the pages filled with her ideas and hopes. I believe we can create real change, focusing on every voice in the company. Her voice was steadier than she felt, fueled by the memories of her team's excitement just a few hours before. Mr. Harris nodded, leaning forward. Change is good, but too much too quickly can scare people. You do realize that, don't you? I understand, but if we don't address the issues directly, we risk stagnation, Lisa replied, a newfound fire in her words. We can incorporate feedback through informal sessions like a lunch and learn. It will encourage participation without feeling like another mandatory meeting. Mr. Harris's expression softened just briefly. That's an interesting approach, but why pizza? People are skeptical about food incentives in the workplace. Can come off as a gimmick. Lisa's heart sank momentarily, but she pushed against it. Because it works. It builds camaraderie. When people feel comfortable, they open up. They trust you. I want them to trust that their voices matter. He scrutinized her, the evaluation intense. And if it doesn't bring the results you expect? Then we adjust, she replied instinctively. But doing nothing doesn't help anyone. The tension in her shoulders eased slightly as Mr. Harris's gaze held a hint of respect. But then he leaned back again, crossing his arms. You're spunky, I'll give you that. But I'm not sure a few slices of pizza and chit-chat will resolve the larger issues we're facing. You need to consider shareholder interests. His words crashed against her eagerness, and doubt seeped in again. Would her passion be enough to convince him? Or was she just a dreamer chasing shadows? Mr. Harris, this isn't just about pizza. It's about connection. It's about trust, Lisa pleaded, feeling a rush of urgency. People are the core of this company. If we don't invest in them, we'll lose ground with our clients. We'll become irrelevant. He remained silent for a moment, weighing her words. Lisa's heart raced, hopeful yet terrified. Fine, he finally said. Run the pilot program. I'll back you as long as you deliver results. But if it fails, don't expect me to protect you. Relief washed over her, mixed with the weight of his ultimatum. Thank you, she breathed, trying to mask the thrill of her heart. As she stood to leave, Mr. Harris called her back. One more thing. Just so we're clear, if you really believe everyone's voice matters, you need to ensure it's heard. Not just in the lunchroom. If the program flops, it won't just be you on the line. You'll drag your entire team down with you. Acknowledging the gravity of his words, Lisa nodded once more, determination flipping like a switch inside her. I won't let that happen. Exiting the meeting room, she felt like she could finally breathe again. An opportunity had opened up, but she had a mountain to climb. Her phone buzzed as she stepped into the corridor, and the bright screen revealed a series of texts from Mia, and the others a flurry of excitement and encouragement. It steeled her resolve. But as she approached the common area, the buzz of conversation instantly shifted into a tight whisper. Attention filled the air, and she caught snippets of hushed words. They were serious, almost worried. Did you hear? One of her colleagues said. I can't believe it, not him. Yeah, but can we trust her? She has only been here a year. Lisa's heart sank, pulling her closer to the group. Whatever they were talking about, it seemed critical. She needed to understand. Stepping closer, she overheard mention of a sudden resignation at the highest level. Jenna had put her not-so-small mark on the situation. That could change everything for Lisa. And her plans. What if it all falls apart? Anxiety dripped from their voices. That thought echoed in Lisa's mind as she felt the fabric of her plans unraveling. She had to move fast, before the whirlwind left them all in chaos. If change was coming, she had to be at the helm. What was next? Lisa didn't know, but she felt the urgency unraveling before her, the stakes rising exponentially with each passing moment. What could she lose if she didn't take the lead now? The atmosphere buzzed with anxiety as Lisa approached her team, each face reflecting uncertainty. Rumors swirled like storm clouds overhead. Jenna's sudden resignation was a shockwave that threatened to shake the foundations Lisa had just begun to build. Hey, can we talk? Lisa said, raising her hands to quiet the murmurs. I know things seem shaky right now, but we can't let this moment define us. We need to stay strong. Mia stepped forward, fear glinting in her eyes. But what happens if Jenna's departure brings chaos? People might lose faith in our plans. Lisa felt a firm resolve flood through her. That's exactly why we need to act now. We have a chance to turn this situation into an opportunity. Let us rally together. This could be our moment to show everyone that we're a team, and we stand united. They nodded, and in that small gesture, Lisa felt the flame of hope rekindle. Let us host our first focus group today. We'll use Jenna's absence to break the silence. Maybe we can make it clear that this company belongs to all of us, not just a few executives. They quickly organized the meeting, setting the stage for open dialogue. Lisa knew it was vital to encourage everyone to voice their concerns, to build trust. As the team gathered in the conference room, anticipation buzzed in the air. Lisa looked around, seeing faces both anxious and eager, each person waiting for the chance to speak. This is our moment, she thought, hoping her conviction would carry them forward. Thank you all for being here, she began, her tone steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. Today we encourage everyone to share their thoughts openly. We want to get to the heart of what matters to you without judgment. The room breathed a collective sigh. There was a sense of release. Slowly, voices started to emerge. Concerns about workloads, safety issues, the desperation for acknowledgement, all of it spilled forth like water breaking through a dam. Lisa listened intently, taking notes, feeling each word resonate with her purpose. One voice stood out, Joe's, with stories woven of struggle, feeling invisible, and the desire to connect. It's important for us to find purpose in what we do, he said passionately. We need to remember that we're not just cogs in a machine. We matter. Tears threatened Lisa's eyes. Could they be on the brink of a real transformation? It was happening in real time. They were forging bonds, creating a community built on support, care, and open communication. As the focus group concluded, a soft cheer erupted. A palpable sense of relief filled the room. They had started to weave the fabric of trust, stitching together intentions from the roots of shared experience. As they filed out, momentum surged through the hallways. Lisa felt alive, especially when her coworkers approached her one by one to express gratitude. But beneath that joy pulsed a current of urgency. She had one more battle ahead, proving to the board that this initiative could not only survive but thrive. Lisa gathered her team once more, this time with focused intensity. We need to present our findings to the board. We're creating something real here, and they need to see the change from our perspective. Mia added, let us show Mr. Harris the momentum we've built. Our team is ready to demonstrate that together, we can enhance productivity while building a workplace that values everyone. That night was fueled by purpose. Ideas transformed into a presentation, fingers flying across keyboards as Lisa's team poured every ounce of their collective spirit onto each slide. Hope radiated from every word they crafted, describing the newfound approach to company culture. As dawn broke, Lisa prepared for battle. This was the decisive moment. The board meeting loomed, but unlike before, she felt like a warrior ready to forge a path. Walking into the boardroom, she was met with steely gazes. Mr. Harris sat there, still skeptical but slightly intrigued. You have one shot to make your case, he said, leaning back, arms crossed. Lisa took a deep breath and launched into the presentation. As she shared the stories, the data, the heart behind their initiative, she saw flickers of interest in their eyes. She spoke passionately about the momentum they built, the connection that now bound them. And what you're seeing here today isn't just a plan. It's a pledge to our people, she declared, glancing at her team behind her. We've united, and this culture change starts with understanding. We've shown we can listen, now we need your support to implement it. The board members exchanged charged looks, contemplation thick in the air. Then Mr. Harris leaned forward. You've actually built a case here, Lisa. But I need clarity on the numbers. How will this translate to productivity and profits? Her heart raced. We're ready to track outcomes. With better support, engagement will increase, and that leads to lower turnover and higher profits. But the key lies in creating an environment where our people thrive. Time felt suspended as the board deliberated. She made eye contact with Mia and Joe, feeling their unwavering support. This was their moment. Mr. Harris finally leaned back. All right, we'll give this a shot. But understand, if it doesn't yield results quickly, it may fall under scrutiny again. Relief washed over her, mixing with exhilaration. They were finally on their way to creating the change they had envisioned. Together, they were not just workers. They were partners in crafting a culture that truly mattered. As everyone filed out of the boardroom, elation reverberated through the air. They weren't just a team, they were a family. Lisa knew challenges would remain, but they could face them together now. Leaving the office that day, Lisa felt lighter, the burdens of doubt fading away. They had done it. Hand in hand, they had reclaimed their voices and transformed the culture within their company. And Lisa? She realized she wasn't just the architect of change. She was a champion for her team. With unity forged in trust, anything was possible. Now was the time for action to speak louder than words. Join the movement. You need to subscribe now to catch every moment of transformation. Leave a like now to help spread the message of dialogue and unity. Comment below to share your feelings about this inspiring change. And don't wait not even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to witness this journey. Let us build a community that supports and amplifies each other.